Hey everyone, it's Miss Mazzola ready for another math lesson with you. This is our second one this week. This is part 2 to our angles lessons. But first, you know what's coming. It's time for a math joke, and it is angles related again. All right, here we go. We've been talking about degrees. So, why was the angle freezing? Why was it freezing? Because it was less than 32 degrees. 32 degrees freezing. Get it? Okay, now we can get to our lesson. Okay, so here we go. This lesson is on missing angles. Just kidding, it's not quite that creepy. But I thought the little squigglies outside of the words would be super cool. Anyway, before we can talk about missing angles, we have to remember what angle notation means because it's going to be super important for our lesson today. So angle notation, if you remember, is the angle name. It's the fancy math version of angle name. And we usually read it top to bottom from left to right or bottom to top, depending. We want to read left to right, essentially connecting the dots on our angles. So when we're looking at an angle set that looks like this one that we just drew, let's take a look at that a little closer. It's weird this time around. I've got what looks like a right angle, and I know what those look like, but now it's got this weird extra leg coming out of it, and there's an F attached to it with a 30 thing below it. Like, what? What is this thing? So what this is you can have different pieces that you put together. You have a missing angle to make a big outside angle. Just like when you're eating a piece of pie and your mom cuts you a little teeny slice and you're like, but mom, I wanted like a big corner out of the pie. And you have to figure out what's left over for her to be able to cut you to fill in the rest of that corner of the pie. So that's what we've kind of got right here. And a lot of times they will give you these angles to help you think about that missing piece. They'll give you some of the ones that you know or that they already have told you. So if we look at this first one, what we already know is that angle ABC on the outside, we know that angle, and they may tell us it just in case. Angle ABC is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, we knew that. Another one that they may tell us, and that they've shown us in the picture, is right here. FBC. If you look at that one, there's this number inside. They've given us a measurement of that number, just like we were doing in the last lesson. It's almost like this thing wasn't even here. So let's take a second and let's just put something over the top of that. So let's pretend that this, oops, never mind, that's not going to work. So just kidding. Let's pretend that this part isn't even here. And if we looked at that, this angle would just be 30 degrees. So another one it might give us is angle FBC equals 30 degrees. And you might be thinking, Mrs. Mazzola, how am I supposed to figure out what that missing thing is? I'm glad you asked. You can think about this just like with money. These angles are essentially the same thing, or even that pie reference that I was talking about. So let's take a mental picture of this for a second. You're trying to buy a new computer screen for your special video games you want to do in your room. Mom tells you have to buy it for yourself. So you go to the store and you look at it and you find out that the computer screen that you want is kind of expensive and it costs $90. Okay? And you've got your cute little piggy bank back at home with its cute little curly tail. And inside that piggy bank, you've got $30. What are you going to do to be able to find out how much money you need? What are you going to do with that 90 and 30? The thing costs $90 and you've only got 30. How are you going to figure out what that missing piece is? How much money you owe? You're right. I'm going to need to subtract. So I'm going to take the amount that I know it costs and I'm going to subtract the 30 I already have. And that's going to tell me my answer of how much I still need to put into my piggy bank before I can buy my own computer screen. And if I do that math, I'm going to get 60. The same goes with these angles that we're looking at. If this big one is 90 and this piece I already have is 30, I just have to figure out what the difference is. What's the difference between 90 and 30? and that'll give me my other angle. Okay, so the rest of your piece that you would probably see in your assignment that I kept hidden for now would have looked like this. Angle ABF, okay, if we were to connect the dots, ABF, that's that angle right there, would equal what? And that's where our subtraction comes in handy. And especially when they set it up nicely like this for us, it almost becomes an equation on itself, right, stacked on top of each other. So all I would do with that one, if I'm missing one on the inside, is that I'm going to subtract those numbers. So if I subtract 90 minus 30, I'm going to get my answer. And angle ABF is equal to 60 degrees. Okay. Now, if I went a little fast on that one, go ahead and pause the video, go back, maybe watch that one again, or think about it for a minute, or take some notes in your math notebook. And especially if you didn't write down angle notation the other day, you might want to take notes on that one. So if we have an angle that looks like that, with this part missing right here, we would use subtraction to figure out what that missing angle is. Okay, so let's move on to another example to practice. If we have an angle that looks like this, okay, and you may be thinking you already know the measurement of this one, you may even know the specific name of this type of angle, and we've got a BOY, and then we need to add our extra piece. It goes like this. And we've got another one sticking out just like on the last one to make us all freaked out. And this one up here has the letter T for its point. And inside of here, we have 120. Okay, so this one you might try along with me and see if you can figure it out before I solve it. So you might want to pause the video if you want to try it off to the side and see if you're right, or you can follow along with me for another example. Okay, to finish what I might see on my assignment, I'm going to put those examples or those notations that they would have already had for us. So if we already had angle, and I'm going to start with my big one because it looks like they already gave me my big one. I've got that one right there going BOY. If I connect those dots, that gives me angle BOY. Yeah, I know you're getting the joke. I did that on purpose to keep you paying attention. Okay, that angle is 180 degrees. It is a straight angle, which means that it's going all the way across 180 full degrees. Okay, 90 plus 90 equals 180. Then the other angle that I know, if I can connect my dots, I've got one right here with 120. And the letters that make up that mouth are TOY. So I connect those dots and I get 100 at my 120 degree angle. So they would also write in my angle, oops, wrong color. Let's try that again. We've got my angle of TOY, toy. Yep, good, you're still paying attention, very good. That angle measures 120 degrees, okay? Now I have to figure out what that last angle is, and if I connect my dots to figure out what it is, reading left to right, I've got BOT, or I can do TOV, really doesn't matter, it's the same angle. So for this sake, they wrote it as angle BOT, bot, yeah, got you on that one. And that one is the one that we don't know, okay? That's the one where there's nothing here. There's nothing there, and we don't know what that measurement is. But thinking back to our computer screen example, this is just the same kind of idea. I know what the computer screen costs. I know how much I have in my piggy bank. I need to figure out what that last little piece is to get me the amount of money I need to buy my computer screen. So what am I going to do with those numbers? I'm going to subtract them. So I'm going to subtract 180 minus 120. You can even do it right there with the setup they have, or if they didn't give you those, you might have to do a little writing off to the side where you actually write down your numbers, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, what a novel idea. 180 minus 120, and that looks like a 6. Let's fix that. There we go. And I subtract. And if I subtract 0 minus 0 is 0, 8 minus 2 is 6, and 1 minus 1 is 0, which gives me, ironically, and I did not do this on purpose, this just was an accident, as I just randomly picked numbers for this, my answer to angle BOT, or BOT, would have been 60 degrees also on this one, even though it's a different problem, but still is 160 because of the different angle measurements. okay? Now, you might have already looked at the assignment for this week, and you might have noticed that that's not the only thing happening with these angles. Sometimes you're given an angle and you know what the two middle ones are, but you don't know what the big outside one is. So let's draw an example of one of those, and we're going to practice that one. Okay, so let's say we have an angle that looks like this. Okay, and then we've got this guy in the middle. Forgot my arrows. Don't forget your arrows on your rays. It's how you know they're angles, and they keep going. Okay. Side note, as I got off track, we've got a C, an A, a T, and an R. Okay, so then we know based on what they've told us on our equation or on our problem, because they've already given it to us, 22 is in here, 63 is in here. Okay, and they even may have done the notations off to the side just like we've done all the other ones. But you might be looking at this one already and going, well, this is totally different. I've got one there and I've got one there. What do I need to figure out? Well, what you need to figure out is how much pie you took. Okay, this is kind of like that pie equation of maybe you went and family dinner, you decided to take a little piece and not seem like a piglet. But then you secretly went back later and you took more pie. And you took another really big slice. So now you have to figure out how much pie you ate because now your pants don't fit and you have to figure out how many calories it was. And yeah, you got to figure out how much pie you ate. Anyway, so to do that, we're going to look at our angles. We've got angle, angle, angle. We know it's going to have 3, and I'm just going to put those in there to get ahead of things. And I'm going to look at the angles that I do know. So this first angle I can look at that I do know goes from here to here to here. I'm going to write down those letters. That is letters C-A-R. Oh, still paying attention. You caught the word. Nice job. Okay. And that one I know is 63 degrees based on what they show me in the problem. Next one that I know goes from here to here to here. Okay. And if I connect those letters up, I get R-A-T. Gotcha. And that one is 22 degrees based on what they've told me. So the last one that I don't know is that big mouth, that big piece of pie that I didn't eat in one piece, but now looking at my pie plate, I have a big chunk missing, and that chunk goes from here to here to here. This whole piece of my pie is gone, and I need to figure out how much that is. So if I look at my dots that I just connected to find that again, I've got the letters C-A-T. Such cleverness with my letters. Anyway, what do you think I'm going to do with those numbers? If I know this one and I know this one, but I don't know this one, what do you think I'm going to do? We can think back to that TV problem again. Or the computer problem. So I had my computer, but this time when I went to the store, I don't know how much that big purchase is. But I do know that in week 1 of my allowance, I did enough chores to get me $63. And then I knew that still wasn't enough because I went to the store and it still wasn't enough. They told me it was closed, whatever. I showed up and I couldn't get it that week. So I decided to save us more money. Maybe I'd get a better computer. Week 2. Now I saved up $22. What am I going to do with that money to know how much I can spend on this computer screen? Because maybe I have to get the little one. Maybe I can get the big one, that nice one with the HD camera and the green screen behind me. Maybe it's super special. What am I going to do with those 2 numbers? You're right. I'm going to add them. Okay. I'm going to find out how much money I have total before I go in to try to buy this computer screen. So the same thing happens up here with this. I'm going to add these numbers up. Okay, and if I add them up, I might have to write them off to the side. It stinks. I have to write my work down, but whatever. And if I add those up, I find out that angle CAT is equal to 85 degrees. And if I don't say so myself, that's a pretty good looking 85 degrees. It is real close to a right angle, and it looks real good. Anyway, I'll stop patting myself on the back. So that one was 85 degrees. So when you know both of the insides, or all 3 of the insides, or all 4, depending on how many times they've split up your angle. It may be all cattywampus looking like this with like hair growing out of it, but they've got numbers 1, 2, 75, 32, and 50 in here, doesn't matter. You're still taking all of those weeks of allowance or all of those angles and you're adding them up to find out what the measurement is. Okay, it doesn't matter how many pieces of the pie you snuck. You still got to add them all up to find out how much pie you ate. So when you know the inside numbers, you're going to add them. When you don't know all of the inside numbers, you're going to subtract them. Okay? Remember, you can go back and review this. You can rewind the video. You can pause it and look at this again, take some notes. These will be helpers for you when you go into your second assignment this week for missing angles. And let me know if you have any issues or any questions. And feel free to message me and be ready for this soon in our Zoom meetings, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck and